Europe's sovereign debt crisis is worsening and policymakers cannot seem to agree on how to solve it. So what happens now? Well, joining us from Brussels is a man who knows a fair bit about what goes on behind the scenes in Europe. He's a former European Commission economist, now senior economist at ING Belgium. He's Carsten Brzeski. Thanks very much for being with us, Carsten. So we've had a number of significant developments over the last 72 hours. You've got these emergency measures in Greece. You had Stark resigning from the ECB board. You had the G7 meeting. What's the most significant bit of news for you?
Well, I guess it's the new Greek measures, to be honest, because it shows that the Greek are not playing as hardball as they were suggesting to be. It shows really that the Greek will deliver, so that the Greek will get the next tranche of their loan by the end of September, avoiding a short-term default.
So in other words, the Greeks have waited to the last moment to really cover this shortfall.
Exactly, that's what we've seen now, I think, over the last year. It's always really a bit of horse trading, tough negotiating between the Greek and the Troika of the European Central Bank Commission and IMF. But we've always had so many last-minute decisions that I expect we're also going to get a last-minute decision right now. Because if you look at markets, a default, I think, is in the interest of no one in the current situation. So
you are suggesting that that is not going to happen, a default, even though the market is increasingly speculating that it's going to happen?
I think in the short run, it's not going to happen. In the medium run, let's say in a year or two, it looks hard to avoid because Greek debt is still unsustainable. So it will happen at some point in time. I would have my doubts that it's going to happen anytime soon.
But you also, while you say that Greece may default down the road, you say that exiting the eurozone is simply should not be contemplated because the economic consequences for the whole of Europe would be too dire. Is that right? Could you explain why?
Exactly. Of course, let's say if Greece was to leave the eurozone, you would invite speculation on who's next. Would it be Spain? Would it be Portugal? You would have an enormous banking crisis in the rest of Europe. Interest rates going up in Spain, Portugal, Ireland, losses in German banks. It would be horrible, and I think it would be really the total chaos situation, something I'm not looking forward to.
So we have Germany now, there's speculation that Germany's preparing for a Greek default, so getting ready to think about how it's going to recapitalize its banks. Is that a good thing that they're coming up with a plan B, or is this something that's just, it's obviously making the markets very nervous?
Of course it's making the markets nervous, but it's a good thing. It's a good thing that policymakers finally do have this plan B somewhere. Because a default by Greece has always been the Voldemort of European policies over the last 1 or 2 years. And now we finally know that they are preparing this thing, that they think it might be possible to get a default within the eurozone, within the monetary union, I think is a good signal.
So where do you think the markets are in terms of what they've got priced in? Is this thing going to get worse? Are we going to see things get worse on the markets before it gets better?
I think for the markets it's still very hard to understand that European policies very often are muddling through. That it's still going to take months, if not years, before this crisis is really going to be solved, with a lot of uncertainty. So whether it's really priced in, it's very hard to tell. For markets, again, it's very hard to understand how European policies work.
Okay, so just tell us what you think is going to happen next. I mean, George Osborne is the UK finance minister, the latest person to say, we're going to get fiscal union, we're probably going to get a treaty change in the next couple of years. If that's where you believe this is going to, how quickly does that fiscal integration come?
I don't think that we're going to see a fiscal or political union in the next years. I think the time is not ripe in the northern European countries. Look at the German discussion. Look at the Dutch discussion. This is not going to happen. We're going to move towards more Europe, but still we will see probably an increase of the bailout scheme. We will see that a sovereign default within the monetary union is possible, but I have my doubts that we're going to see a political union anytime soon.
Understood. So it's muddling through for the next year or two at least. Okay, Carsten Brzeski, thanks very much.